What does the perfect male physique look like? The answer really depends on culture and personal preferences. However, in the West we seem to agree on one ideal. This is what we call the aesthetic physique. It seems to have become the new pinnacle of male beauty in our society. I began to question what made it so attractive to the human eye. Why do people admire it and respect it so much? And why do men want it so badly? If you thought the answer was simply about having broad shoulders and a small waist, let me tell you that you're completely wrong. I made research into the science of beauty, mathematics, and history to understand what made this type of body so attractive to us. And trust me, it is a rabbit hole you don't want to get into. What makes this appealing to the human eye? Some would claim the broad shoulders and slim waist, others the visible abs and muscle definition. Both answers are somewhat correct, but not exactly. To understand the answer to that question, we need to understand what beauty even means. According to Google, beauty is the qualities in a person that is pleasing to the senses or the mind. This ideal can thus change over time and across places because it is simply based on the perception we have about it. The ideal physique can change depending on personal preferences, but also a few other variables. One of those is the scarcity of it. Some tribes valued fatter and bigger men because they were more scarce than thin men, and it showed an abundance of resources. The Wodabi tribe is a good example of this. On the other hand, Western civilization values muscular and lean men because they are more scarce, but they're also a stronger commodity because of the self-control and discipline it takes to avoid modern food addictions and train with enough frequency. This is one of the reasons why the aesthetic physique is seen as so valuable and attractive these days. It is because it is difficult to attain. Listen, like him or not, but when Andrew Tate talked about value being directly attached to pain and difficulty, it did resonate with me a lot. The reason we value this look specifically is because it is difficult to attain, and therefore also a scarce commodity at the same time. If everyone had a six-pack and it was easy to get, nobody would care about it. It would lose all its value and nobody would want it, and the same is true with muscle. Now, there's a few things that make the shape of it specifically appealing to the human eye. Many define the aesthetic physique to have a small waist and broad shoulders, creating a V shape. I still prefer using the X-frame because it includes the legs, and a well-developed upper body with small legs simply looks ridiculous. An aesthetic physique is often characterized by a balanced and visually pleasing combination of muscle size, definition, and symmetry. That is the simplified definition. We could see leanness as a sign that a man is very healthy. Broad shoulders show strength, and symmetry is always very pleasing to the human eye. We can see this a lot with facial attractiveness as well. The symmetrical face is always much more attractive than the asymmetrical one. Now, we can also go much deeper into why broad shoulders and a small waist seem so attractive. In mathematics, we have something called the golden ratio. Now, my mathematical knowledge is quite limited, but I'll try my best. The golden ratio was discovered a long time ago in 300 before Christ and has throughout the centuries adopted many different names, including the extreme and mean ratio by Euclid, the divine proportions by Luca Pacioli, and now the golden ratio. It's a mathematical number that is considered the perfect number and equates to 1.618 to the infinite. What made this number so special was when a guy called Fibonacci came in. I know you didn't come for a history lesson, but bear with me for a minute. He wrote a book called The Book of Calculations. It was filled with a ton of math problems, one especially that made the golden ratio so popular. The problem was about rabbits. You have one male and one female rabbit. No rabbits die or get eaten. From the second month she's alive, every female reproduces every month. One male and one female. How many rabbits will they produce after a year? That number turns out to be 144. What is interesting is that the number of pairs in the next month is equal to the sum of the previous two numbers. This is called the Fibonacci sequence. Add the last two numbers to get the next one. How this relates to the golden ratio is that when you divide each number with the previous one, you get closer and closer to the golden ratio of 1.618. From that point on, the golden ratio really took off in popularity, and people started to claim that you could find the golden ratio everywhere from nature, architecture, or even the human body. Now, what does 1.618 even mean, and why would it be considered such a perfect number? Look at those rectangles. Which one of them seems the most appealing? If you pick this one, this is a golden rectangle with a length of 1.618 times the width. If I take the golden rectangle and put another one in it and another in that and so on, I get this shape. We can find many different examples like this in architecture or nature. However, that perfect ratio can also be found in the human body and explains why some bodily ratios seem more appealing to the human eye than other ones. If we look at our face, if the length of it is approximately 1.618 times the width, then I guess you could call it a golden face. The distance from the top of the nose to the center of the lips should be around 1.618 times the distance from the center of the lips to the chin. Now, I hope you're starting to see where I'm getting with this. In the fitness industry, we have a term called the Adonis Index. It is inspired by the golden ratio and states that to be most appealing to the human eye, the length of our shoulders should be approximately 1.618 times the length of our waist. This is the ratio that is most appealing to the human eye. The answer to the question, what makes an aesthetic body so attractive, can get very deep, and I understand that there's no need to go as far as this. However, it is still very interesting to see how deep one can go to define such a simple thing. If your goal is to build an aesthetic body, focus on fundamentals, clean up your diet, train hard, recover properly, and live a generally healthy lifestyle. Don't overcomplicate things by trying to reach the exact ideal that is most appealing to the human eye, and focus on simply building a good upper body and trying to lose body fat.